We are all the protagonists of our own world. Our daily lives seem bustling with activity, intersecting with family, friends, colleagues, and even many strangers. We open our eyes in the morning to sunlight streaming into the room. During the day, we handle work, study, and various aspects of life. During our commute or leisure time, we check our phones for news, messages from friends, and social media updates. Before going to sleep at night, we sometimes stare at the ceiling and contemplate life. But have you ever considered this question? In reality, this world has always consisted of only you? We've previously shared our thoughts on the thought-provoking topic of whether the world is real. From a scientific and philosophical perspective, we've learned that everything we perceive through our senses is a projection created by our brain. The world we see is the result of our brain interpreting different frequencies of light waves. The world we hear is the result of our brain interpreting different frequencies of sound waves. The world we touch and the pain we feel are the result of our brain interpreting electrical impulses from nerve endings. Therefore, what you call the world is just a virtual reality game built by the brain based on limited senses, and you are the protagonist of this game. The magic of the brain, reality is a program written by neurons. Imagine your brain, encased in a thick skull, in a completely dark and quiet space. It has never seen the outside world. The only thing it receives is a series of electrical impulses. So how does it know if you're facing a person, a vase, or a cat? The answer is, it guesses. Neuroscientists have discovered that the brain speculates and reconstructs sensory input based on past experiences, memories, language, and cultural background. In other words, the world you see is the brain's best guess. This is why when you see a broken branch, you might mistake it for a snake. Because your brain is guessing the shape and color of this thing resemble a snake. Snakes are dangerous, so it's alert. This guessing mechanism allows us to react quickly, but it also means that each of us lives in our own virtual world. Even more interestingly, when scientists directly stimulate certain areas of the brain in experiments, participants see non-existent light and hear non-existent sounds. This shows that the world is not outside, but in your mind. The illusion of consciousness. Even you might be fictional. Now the question arises, if the world is generated by the brain, then who is you? You might say, of course I exist. I think, I speak, I feel. But neuroscientists tell us that even the self is an illusion created by the brain. We think I is a fixed entity, but it's actually just a narrative character created by the brain integrating memories, feelings, and language. This can be seen in a famous case. After brain surgery, some epilepsy patients had their left and right hemispheres of the brain split into two consciousness systems. When scientists showed different images to the left and right eyes respectively, the left and right hemispheres gave different responses. In other words, a person may have two selves at a moment. What does that mean? It means that the self is not some kind of spiritual entity, but a dynamic balance of a neural network. The I you think you have is just a program running in the brain's supercomputer. Brain-computer interface technology, BCI, currently under research, utilizes this working mechanism. By stimulating specific points in different areas of the brain with electrical impulses, it simulates the working state of the natural brain, ultimately restoring most of the normal living abilities of blind, deaf, or even physically disabled individuals. Of course, this theory may not yet explain events involving past life memories. If such events are real, there might be some element of chance involved, such as undiscovered memory elements that could be inherited through nature's circulatory system to unfamiliar newborns thousands of miles away. Alternatively, it could be through an energy field similar to a magnetic field, transcending the limitations of time and space to copy parts of the memory to another person. Quantum observation. Does the world need to be seen to exist? Next, we delve into a deeper level, the quantum world. Quantum experiments reveal a startling fact. Particles have no definite state before being observed. In the Schrödinger's cat experiment, the cat is both dead and alive, only when someone opens the box to observe, and we will see whether the cat is dead or alive. This inevitably raises the question, Does observation itself create reality? Physicist Niels Bohr said, "In the quantum world, there are no independently existing realities, only events that are measured." This sounds very much like solipsism in philosophy. The world is not an objectively existing stage, but a projection generated when observed by consciousness. While modern physics does not fully support the idea that consciousness creates the world, many phenomena do indicate that reality is not fixed, but rather the result of the interaction between the observer and the world. Just like when we meet a stranger, before we have any interaction with them, all strangers are like black boxes. We don't even know they exist. It's only when we interact with them that the box is opened, and we realize that this person exists in the world. Through communication, their experiences and stories are partially copied into our memory. This is the interference effect in interpersonal communication. It also affects our own worldview and emotions to a certain extent. Philosophical responses, solipsism, and all things are mind only. In fact, humanity has been pondering the same questions for thousands of years. The ancient Greek philosopher Plato, in the allegory of the cave, said, "Man is like a prisoner locked in a cave, seeing only the shadows on the cave walls." They believe the shadows are reality, unaware of the wider, sunlit world outside. Descartes said, "I think, therefore I am." He said that even if everything is false, a deception, at least the fact that I am thinking is real, because only a thinking object can doubt. Eastern philosophy pointed out even earlier. Buddhism says, "The three realms are mind only, all phenomena are consciousness only," meaning, everything in the world originates from the workings of the mind. Zhuangzi dreamed he was a butterfly, but upon waking, he couldn't distinguish whether Zhuangzi dreamed he was a butterfly or the butterfly dreamed it was Zhuangzi. These ideas are strikingly consistent across different cultures. They all point out that the world is a mirror image of consciousness, not a collection of independently existing objects. Psychology and culture, our shared illusion. If the world is merely a creation of the brain, why should we perceive it in a largely uniform way? The reason is that we share a collective illusion. Humans, through language, culture, education, and social systems, have collectively trained our ways of perception. We all learn to call a wavelength red, we all agree that time is linear, and we all believe that money has value. But these concepts do not exist in the universe itself. There is no Monday in the universe, no US dollar, and no right or wrong. These are all cognitive consensuses reached by humans based on their collective existence. It's as if we all live in the same large-scale, multiplayer online consciousness game. The rules are social consensus, the visuals are generated by the brain, and the meaning is what we ourselves assign. The mirror of the universe. You are the world. Now let's look at a grander perspective, the universe. Science tells us that the elements in our bodies, such as carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and iron, all originated from star explosions billions of years ago. In other words, each of us is a collection of stardust. Therefore, you don't live in the universe, but rather the universe is revealing itself through your existence. Furthermore, we can say that nature is revealing itself through mass, energy, or magnetic fields. Some physicists and philosophers have proposed panpsychism. Consciousness is not unique to humans, but rather one of the fundamental properties of the universe. Information, energy, and consciousness may be different manifestations of the same thing. When you realize the world only consists of you, when you understand that this world is actually just you, it's not loneliness, but rather an awakening, because you'll discover that nothing is entirely external. All joy, pain, fear, and hope originate from the creation of your own mind. You are no longer passively controlled by the world, but realize that you yourself are one of the creators of the world. When you change the way you see the world changes with you. As philosopher Alan Watts said, "You are not a human being who happens to exist in the universe. You are the universe experiencing itself as human." So, next time you look at yourself in the mirror, remember, the person looking at you is the entire universe looking at itself. Okay, welcome to the Natural Truth Advancement Association. Let us believe in nature, embrace the truth of nature, reject confusion and anxiety, and together unlock the higher dimensional mode of our minds.